up to Easter, I wanted us to take a look at some of the events, the days leading up to Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection. And so this is going to bring us to John chapter 11 this morning. John chapter 11, which is a very famous chapter with a very famous dead man, Lazarus. John chapter 11. In fact, we're a little early. Some church traditions celebrate Lazarus being raised from the dead. Spoiler alert, just in case you didn't know. Oh, I let the cat out of the bag there. The raising of the dead of Lazarus, in some traditions, is celebrated this coming Saturday. So we're ahead of the game here. Here we go. John chapter 11, verse 1. Verse 1, it says, "Now a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. Verse 2, it was Mary who anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was ill. So the sisters sent to him, saying, Lord, he whom you love is ill. But when Jesus heard it, he said, this illness does not lead to death. It is for the glory of God, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it." And we'll pause here for just a moment. And if you're taking notes, the first point I would give this morning is Jesus' glory. Jesus' glory. And so Jesus, if you look at the last chapter, is being under great threat at this point. There's a large growing group of people that are ready to take Jesus out by any means necessary. They want to arrest him. If they can stone him, they want to stone him. They do not like him. And so now he's somewhere else, and then he's being told about his friend Lazarus, who is ill. And he says that his illness is for the glory of God, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Jesus lived and lives for the glory of God. Jesus' mission is the glory of God. Now, as hard in this situation as it was to see, how in the world is the illness of our brother the glory of God? Or to the disciples, Jesus, how is the illness of our friend going to be for the glory of God? But you have to understand everything that Jesus does, and everything that Jesus wills, and everything about Jesus' life and mission is for the glory of God. There isn't anything that isn't for the glory of God. He lives for that. That is his mission. In fact, Jesus leading us as Christians into the life that he has for us, the better life that he has for us, the path that he has for us to walk. He does that for the glory of God. I want you to understand this morning, God getting the glory is for our good. And our good is always glorifying to God. These are not at odds with one another. The glory of God leads to our good. And the good that God has planned for us leads to his glory. And so he's saying, this illness is going to lead to my glory. I know you can't see it right now, but it's going to lead to my glory. But Psalm 23:3 says that he leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. So you see, even leading us into the path that he wants us to go on, it's for his name. It's for his glory. And in fact, our purpose, our identity, our joy cannot be greater than finding it in the glory of Jesus. Jesus' glory. Verse 5 in the text, chapter 11. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was ill, he hurried up and rushed over there. No, it's actually not what it says. He stayed 2 days longer. He's sick. He also says this doesn't lead to death, which is interesting because you'll see in a minute, he does die. It doesn't lead to death. It's for my glory. And then he stays put where he is. 2 days longer in the place. Verse 7, then after this, he said to the disciples, let us go to Judea again. Now, the disciples aren't exactly a big fan of this idea. Because last time we were there, they were, it was like the wild, wild west out there, man. It's like, we're Jesus, we're going to go kill him. Yeah, I mean, this is like, this is the intensity of the situation. Are you sure you want to go back there? The disciples said to him, Rabbi, the Jews were just now seeking to stone you. And are you going to go, and you're going there again? They're saying for us to go there, it's like automatic. We know what's going to happen. They're going to grab you and they're going to kill you. They might even kill some of us. This is a terrible, terrible idea. Why would we go back there? And Jesus says in verse 9, are there not 12 hours in the day? If anyone walks in the day, he does not stumble because he sees the light of this world. But if anyone walks in the night, he stumbles because the light is not in him. This is a very interesting response, and I've read all kinds of interesting ideas of what Jesus' response is here. But my basic understanding here is that he's saying, listen, when it's my time, it's my time. Right now it's still daytime. I still have a mission to finish. I still have a job to do. I still have light to shine. And when it's my time, it's my time. But right now, I have work to do. And you'll see in the story here in a minute that Jesus is literally bringing light into the darkness. And right now, there's people stumbling in it. Even his own disciples are stumbling in it right now. Martha and Mary are stumbling in it. Some of the other people, they're stumbling in the darkness. There isn't light in them. And he's like, hey, it's daytime still. I still have light. There's still work to do. And some people that want to kill me isn't going to stop the work the Father has for me to do. After saying these things, he said to them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I go to awaken him. Verse 12, the disciples said to him, Lord, if he has fallen asleep, he will recover. Like, oh, good, he's taking a nap. He's going to get better. Now, Jesus had spoken of his death, but they thought that he meant taking rest in sleep. Then Jesus told them plainly, Lazarus has died. And for your sake, I am glad that I was not there. Man, I got to tell you, Jesus is saying some weird stuff. First he's saying his illness isn't going to lead to death. And then he says, oh no, he died. And I'm glad I wasn't there. What do you mean you're glad you're not there? He died. And we know that you heal people and stuff. Like, what are you talking about? You're glad you weren't there? And he goes, yeah, I'm glad I wasn't there so that you may believe. But let us go to him. So Thomas, called the twin, said to his fellow disciples, let us also go that we may die with him. I like this guy. Now, unfortunately, Thomas gets a nickname, which is what? Doubting Thomas, which I would argue is not a fair nickname to Thomas. He's not the only disciple that had doubts, nor will he ever be the only disciple that's ever had doubts. In fact, we need to create a new nickname for Thomas right here. I want to call him Thomas the Brave. Like, we're all about to die. Let's go die with him. He's not going to die alone. I mean, this is kind of a brave thing that he's doing right now. Now, there is some doubt involved with this because Jesus just said, hey, there's 12 hours in a day, right? Like, the night isn't upon us yet. Like, and he goes, I don't care what Jesus said. We're all dying. But he's like, but let's go with him. Let's go with him. We can't let Jesus die by himself. All right? So that's kind of the mindset the disciples are thinking. We're going to go back. They're going to grab all of us. We're all about to die. But that's pretty brave of them. Like, we're willing to die with Jesus. We're willing to take it on the nose. Verse 17. Now, when Jesus came, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb 4 days. Now, I want you to keep in mind, prior to this event, Jesus had raised up 2 other people from the dead. This isn't the first time. He's done it 2 other times. Now, there is a little bit of a difference. The first time he did it, the person had just died. That day, that moment. Some people weren't convinced that they were actually dead, right? The other time he did it was at a funeral. Keep in mind that was probably also the same day. They buried him pretty quick. They didn't have the advances of things that we could do. You want to get him wrapped up and in the ground pretty quick. So that also was probably a very recent death. So this is a little bit unique to the other 2 raisings from the dead because this person's been wrapped. This person's had a funeral. This person has been in the grave. Their body is beginning to decay. This is way different than, oh, they just died. He's like, right? This is a little bit different of a scenario. This person's in the tomb 4 days. Verse 18. Bethany was near Jerusalem, about 2 miles off, and many of the Jews had come to Martha and Mary to console them concerning their brother. So when Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went and met him. But Mary remained seated in the house. You can really tell in these verses, there's a lot of grieving going on here. Someone just lost their brother. Some people just lost their friend. And they're coming along in the family. There's mourning. There's grieving. Verse 21, Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Now, I got to tell you something. When I read her saying that, you know what comes to mind? Jesus, before they left to go there, saying, I'm glad I wasn't there. Now, I don't know how Martha would have taken this information of Jesus saying, I'm glad I wasn't there. And he doesn't say that to her. Well, if you would have been here. And Jesus is the one saying, I'm glad I wasn't there. But even now, she says this, even now I know that whatever you ask from God, God will give you. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Martha said to him, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live. Whoever believes, and everyone who lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? She said to him, yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who is coming into the world. When she had said this, she went and called her sister Mary, saying in private, the teacher's here and he's calling for you. Jesus wants to talk to you too. He talked to me, he's here, he wants to talk to you. And when she heard it, oh, Jesus is here. She rose quickly and went to him. Now you might be thinking, oh, yes, Jesus is here. He can raise my brother back to life. He's just going to be amazing, this miracle. No, she rushes to him. Now Jesus had not yet come to the village, but was still in the place where Martha had met him. And when the Jews who were with her in the house consoling her saw Mary rise quickly and go out, they followed her, supposing that she was going to the tomb to weep there. So Jesus hasn't even gone to the burial site yet. He is so not in a hurry. I really want you to catch this. He waits 2 days, then they take the trip. Now he's like, oh, he's been in the grave for 4 days, and he's still not at the tomb yet. So she has to go to where he is. Now when Mary came to where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet. And she says this, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Oh my goodness, it's almost like they planned this. But no, they both understand that Jesus has been this miracle worker where he's healed the sick and all these things. It's like, but once again, I read this and I thought back to when Jesus said to his disciples, I'm glad that I was not there. So now you have both Mary and Martha. If you would have been here, if you would have been here, if you just would have been here. And Jesus, days earlier, I'm glad I wasn't there. Verse 33, when Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come with her also weeping. Catch this. He was deeply moved in his spirit and greatly troubled. And he said, where have you laid him? They said to him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. So the Jews said, see how he loved him. But some of them said, could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man also have kept this man from dying? So there it is again. If you would have been here. So you have Mary saying it. You have Martha saying it. You have the crowd of people there saying, if he would have been here, he could have prevented him from dying. Everybody's saying it. But then Jesus is moved in his spirit when he sees her weeping and the group of Jews weeping together. He comes to the tomb where he's buried and Jesus weeps. And so the first point this morning was Jesus' glory. The second point is Jesus' sorrow. Jesus' sorrow. You see, even though Jesus knows how the story ends, this is the guy who said, I'm glad I wasn't there. He's saying that death is not the end of this guy's story yet. He knows how the story ends. But even though he knows that, in the midst of trouble, he weeps with them. In the midst of our troubles, Jesus knows how the story ends. And you might go through some things and have been through some things like, God, why this? Why'd you permit this? Why'd you allow this? How is this going to bring glory to your name? How are you going to redeem this situation? And most of the times we're going to be like, I don't know how this is supposed to work. But he knows how the story ends. But even though he's not worried about the ending, he still weeps with us because he knows we don't know. Thus, we're taught as believers in Romans to weep with those who weep. Because that's what Jesus does. Jesus weeps with those who weep. There's this startling image in Oklahoma City where there once was this building that was blown away and the many who died, including many children. And across the street is a statue they built of Jesus with his back turned and his hands in his face, weeping. Jesus weeps with those who weep. You don't have to turn there, but if you want, you can. In Psalm 56. Psalm 56. It says this, be gracious to me, O God, in verse 1. For man tramples on me all day long, an attacker oppresses me. My enemies trample on me all day long, for many attack me proudly. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you. In God, whose word I praise, in God I trust, I shall not be afraid. What can flesh do to me? All day long they injure my cause. All their thoughts are against me for evil. They stir up strife, they lurk, they watch my steps as they've waited for my life. For their crimes will they escape? In wrath cast down the peoples, O God. Verse 8. You have kept count of my tossings. Put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your book? Then my enemies will turn back in the day when I call. This I know, that God is for me. In God, whose word I praise. In the Lord, whose word I praise. In God I trust, I shall not be afraid. What can man do to me? I must perform my vows to you, O God. I render thank offerings to you, for you have delivered my soul from death. Yes, my feet from falling, that I may walk before God in the light of life. Jesus knows every tear you've cried. He keeps an account of every misery that you've been through. You see, for those who love God and are called according to His purpose, all things work together for good. In the end of all things, God will be glorified, and it will be for your ultimate good. Jesus knows this. But even still, He weeps with those who weep. God keeps a record of your struggles. He collects every tear that you cry. The future glory that Jesus has is real. But so is your present sorrow. It's not a contradiction to trust God's plan while mourning the pain that His plan has seemed to have cost you. It's good news this morning that when we go through horrendous things, that Jesus isn't taken aback by them, but it's also good news that He understands that we are. We can trust Him while mourning what has happened. It's not a contradiction to believe in Jesus and to be sad about the current struggle He's permitted you to face. Now, we could say, as Martha and Mary and everyone else in this story is saying, well, God could have, or God should have done it this way. He should have prevented this. He should have done this intervention. He should have done that. But we can always know and say that God brings beauty from chaos. And God will redeem all that has gone wrong. We can say, I am hurting, I am mourning, I am sad, but I still believe. Timothy Keller said, if you follow Christ, your bad things turn out for good, your good things cannot be lost, and your best things are yet to come. Verse 38, then Jesus, deeply moved again, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay against it. Jesus said, take away the stone. Martha, the sister of the dead man, said to him, Lord, by this time there will be an odor, for he's been dead for days. Or my favorite in the King James is, Lord, he stinketh. I mean, I guess she thinks Jesus just wants to see the body. And she's like, this is a bad idea. It's been 4 days. He stinks. His body is rotting away. Jesus said to her, did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God? He's saying the story's not over yet. He knows the body's been in there 4 days. He knows the body stinks. He knows you're going through sorrow and pain right now, but the story's not over yet. Didn't I tell you? Just believe. You're going to see the glory of God. So he took away the stone, and Jesus lifted up his eyes. So now he's looking up to heaven, and he prays, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me. But I said this on account of the people standing around, that they may believe that you sent me. So Jesus prays this prayer to the Father so they know what he's talking about. Now listen, there's people here that still don't believe that I am who I am. They don't believe that I have the authority that I have. They don't believe that I am the Christ. There's doubt among my disciples about my authority. There's doubt from Mary and Martha about my ability. There's doubt about who I am. But I'm going to be glorified. And those that don't believe, there's going to be those who will believe. So Father, I'm praying this as a sign about what's about to happen. When he had said these things, he cried out with a loud voice. Once again, probably to make sure that everybody could hear. Lazarus, come out! The man who had died came out, his hands and feet bound with linen strips, and his face wrapped with a cloth. Jesus said to them, unbind him and let him go. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. It's not that this man had just died. No one can say, oh man, he just was having a little nap. No. He was dead. They had the funeral. They wrapped up the body. They bound him up. They put him in the tomb, and he's been there for days. They take off the stone. You can smell the stench coming out. And Jesus says, heads up, everybody. Father, thank you. That was for you guys. Lazarus, come out. And he walks out. Like, you need to unwrap this man. He's out there looking like the Walking Dead over there, all wrapped up. Whoa. What a wild, wild story. The third point this morning is Jesus' authority. Jesus' authority. You have his glory, you have his sorrow, you have his authority. You see, even the buried dead cannot defy the authority of Jesus. Jesus has the authority and the power to restore the physically dead. And Jesus has the authority to restore those who are spiritually dead as well. Some people might think, oh man, it's too late for me, man. My sins are deep. You don't know how dead I am. I'm so dead I stink. There's an odor. You don't have to spend much time with me to know what kind of sinner that I am. Listen, that's exactly who Jesus came to save. Those who need a doctor. Those who know that they're sick. Jesus has the authority to raise the dead, and he has the authority to bring those spiritually dead to life. Ephesians 2 says, you were dead in the trespasses and sins. It doesn't say, oh, you kind of had some sins. You were dead. Your sins made you dead, in which you once walked, following the course of this world, following the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that is now at work in the sons of disobedience, among whom we all once lived in the passions of the flesh, carrying out the desires of the body and the mind, and were by nature children of wrath, like the rest of mankind. But God, being rich in mercy, because of the great love with which he loved us, even when we were dead in our trespasses, made us alive together with Christ. By grace you have been saved. Through Christ we're made spiritually alive. He has the authority to do that. So don't think, oh, he can't do me, or like, oh man, but I've messed up, or like, yeah, he's called me. I'm his child, but now I'm not so sure if I'm his child anymore because I've stumbled in these different... Listen, he has the authority to restore any sinner. He has the authority to save you from any sin. He has the authority to do so. There is no sinner that cannot be saved. There is not a life that cannot be transformed. Let me tell you this morning, there's something that, well, this is just who I am. I just have accepted it. This is the path that I'm on. Then you don't understand Jesus. There is no path that you're on that he can't change. There is no current journey that you're on that he can't transform. Don't think, well, this is just my lot in life. This is just it. No. Jesus is the one who called a dead man to walk out of a grave. And you don't think he can change your life? If you believe, you will see the glory of God. But let's take a look as we draw near to the end this morning at Jesus' impact. At Jesus' impact. In verse 45 it says, many of the Jews therefore who had come with Mary and had seen what he did, believed. I love this. I mean, this has been the theme over and over and over again. He says, I'm glad I wasn't there so that you might believe. And he tells Martha and Mary, hey, don't you believe? Oh yeah, we believe, but don't roll the stone away, he stinks. And the crowd is saying, if you would have been here. And then he said to the Father, I'm saying this so that they believe. And this is exactly what happens. While there's still day, Jesus shines his light in the darkness, and those who hadn't believed just hours earlier, days earlier, now believe. Jesus is the Messiah. Jesus is the Christ. Jesus does have the authority to raise the dead. This is the guy. He is him. They believed. What an incredible impact. What an incredible moment. A shift in time. But it also says in verse 46, some of them went to the Pharisees and told them what Jesus had done. So you have some who believed, and then it says, but some complained to the religious leaders about it. You won't believe what he's done now. I mean, it was one thing when he was like healing the leper. That was bothersome enough. It was one thing when the blind man could see. It was a one thing when that girl that they thought was dead, but we know that she really wasn't. When she got out of bed and they said she got right. But Lazarus was dead. Dead as a doornail. We buried him. We wrapped him up. Then Jesus came into town. You know the guy we've been trying to kill? That guy? Yeah. He raised him back to life. The nerve of that guy. Now they're all going to like him. Now they're all going to start believing him. Well, not you apparently. Jesus' impact. Many believed, but some went away. And it says this, verse 47, so the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered the council and said, get all the boys together, we got to talk. So you have the people come over to say, he did something again. Brought all the guys together. All right. What are we to do? For this man performs many signs. It doesn't look like they're going to go with the, it must have been a demon theory anymore. He's doing it by the power of the devil. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him. And here's where they take this little twist. They say this, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and our nation. Oh, man. Now, first of all, they're not understanding why Jesus is there. When they say the Romans are going to come take over, what they're saying is, if everyone believes Jesus, then they're going to uprise against the Roman Empire, and the worst thing that could ever happen is going to happen. We're going to lose our power. we're going to lose our authority. But one of them, Caiaphas, who was the high priest that year, said to them, you know nothing at all. Nor do you understand that it is better for you that one man should die for the people, not that the whole nation should perish. He did not say this of his own accord, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus would die for the nation. And not for the nation only, but also to gather into one the children of God who were scattered abroad. So from that day on, they made plans to put him to death. This is wild. So the people that don't believe, they're mad that he did something really awesome because people might believe him, and if they believe him, they won't think we're cool anymore. We might lose what we want to do. There's something I want to point about this before we talk about the priest thing, which is really amazing, but you have to understand this. Some went away. Some didn't believe. Not because they didn't witness the miraculous signs. They did. But because they didn't want Jesus. They chose their own glory over the rightful glory that belongs to Jesus. Do you understand that this morning? Now, hear me carefully, not every atheist has said this, but there has been atheists who have been asked point blank, well, if God did a personal miracle for you, would you then believe in him? And they, no. Well, this is kind of a dishonest conversation then, isn't it? What if you wrote your name in the clouds up? Would you believe then? No. If I could present any evidence to convince you, would you believe then? No. Now, not everyone says that, but that has been some responses from some people, and it reminds me of this group right here. He raised him from the dead. What are we going to do about it? He's probably the Christ, so we probably should stop him. What? Let's run that one back again. Or as I've also heard, well, if he is God, and that's what he's about, then I don't want to worship him anyway. Now let me tell you this. If Jesus, Jesus works a miracle. And look at the whole impact of Jesus' life. We're coming near to the end of where he goes to the cross, but look at the full impact of his life and all the miracles and all the signs. And they still wouldn't believe. Listen, we have a responsibility to share the gospel message, to tell the good news. I think Christians should make a good defense of the Christian faith. But let me tell you something. You can't make people believe. Even Jesus' wonder-working miracle couldn't make them believe. Remember the poor man and the rich man who went to hell? And he says to Abraham, hey, you got to let me out just a little bit so I can go warn my brothers about the afterlife. And Abraham said, even if a man came back from the dead, they still wouldn't believe. Now here's Lazarus walking out the grave. They still won't believe in Jesus. Not because they didn't see it, but because they don't want him. Then Jesus himself will raise up from the dead, and they still won't believe. So be faithful in sharing the good news that Jesus saves. Be burdened about the souls of our neighbors and our friends and our family, but you can't make anyone believe. But then I love this last bit right here. The Caiaphas. Oh, this is great. He kind of seems like the big dog in the room. Y'all listen up. Y'all stupid. You don't know nothing. I'll tell you what needs to go down. It's better that he dies for the people than the people suffer. Here's what's crazy. He's literally putting a hit on Jesus. This is what he's doing. He's like, I'm giving us the 2 thumbs up. Let's find a way to kill this guy. That's what he's saying. What he doesn't know is that God used this man's foolish speech to prophesy. Because what did he say? It's better for you that one man should die for the people. This is why Jesus came. Jesus came to die for the people. He came. This is the plan. In fact, that's the last point this morning. Jesus' plan. His plan to die for the people. Jesus agrees with the priest. You're right. It's better for me to die than for the people to suffer the righteous judgment of God. It's better that I face it for you. It's better that I take it for you. That's why I'm here. That's why I came. It is better for me to suffer. I chose this from the foundation of the world. I chose you. While you were still sinners, I chose you. They think that their plan to kill Jesus will stop him. Not realizing they're fulfilling his plan. Remember way back at the beginning of this? We're done. We're wrapping it up. I'm glad I wasn't there. This is all going according to plan. Here they are meeting in secret in the dark. We've got to kill him. Not knowing they're going right into God's plan. Let me tell you. Let me give you an application point for this. When you go against God, you can't win. It will work out according to his plan. You can't win. They think this is it. We'll kill him, and that'll be it. That'll be the end of it. This will work out. And Jesus is like, that was the plan. I'm glad that you're plotting to kill me. Because it is better that I die for the people. Let's rejoice in that this morning.